Hey, thanks for being a part of the conversation. Let's do it. Let's play it forward. These are real people, real stories. The struggle to play it forward. Episode number 615 is with actor Tim Blake Nelson and director Harry Nelson from the movie Asleep in My Palm.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Absolutely fantastic. Before we even get started, I want to thank you from the depths of my heart. Thank you for still making movies. We're in this age of binge watching, and we need to have movies on those big screens so that we can be entertained while eating popcorn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But to put a movie together these days, though, requires what with such high competition? Or is that my imagination? Is there not that much competition?
Well, when you say putting together a movie, you mean getting the financing to go and make it?
From the words on the page to the actors, the whole entire process.
Well, so this is a proud father talking. You don't have a movie like this without an extraordinary script. Mm-hmm. And Henry, since he was about, I'd say 19, decided when he was about 12, he decided he wanted to make movies.
Wow.
When he was 18, he started making shorts. When he was 19, he started to write full-length scripts. And this was, I believe, his fourth full-length feature film that he wrote by the age of 22. And it really does start on the page, and he wrote a beautiful story.
Oh, you're very sweet, Dad.
With incredible characters. And it has such an auteur's sensibility. There's nobody else on the planet who could have written this movie. It's what a great script can be. It's by the filmmaker, his take on the world, unalloyed, truthful, honest, lucid. And then a lot of other stuff comes into play, because you're right, it is very difficult to get these types of movies made. And it was lucky for us because I had just done this movie called Old Henry that was very successful for its producers and financiers. They had gotten to know Henry because he crewed on Old Henry while I was acting in it, and they financed it. And suddenly we were making a movie, and now I've given a big, long speech, and I'm going to step aside and let Henry talk.
Well, for you, Henry, when you talk, first of all, this story seems to be very real, very right now. Have you thought about something like this by going off the grid? And first of all, being about a father and a daughter, you don't see many movies like this about a father and a daughter.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's a great question. I honestly have thought about it for several years, but dealing with poop is sort of a tough detail to sort of get your head around, and sort of a lot of the specifics of it. And so for those reasons, I've not yet been able to do it. That said, I will at some point in my life, and leading up to the movie, I did a lot of research, as did Dad, about what that life entails, and talking with our production designer, being really specific about not only what would be practical, but furthermore, what Tom would find practical, what Tom would think is necessary, which I think is different.
Tom, by the way, being the character.
The main character, which by the way, I think is slightly different than than a lot of folks who exist off the grid. A lot of people who I followed, and there was a lot of people who I followed who on YouTube, who I read about, who really, a whole part of it was to keep the existence as slim as possible, to have things as micromanaged in the small space as possible and really, really planned out so that no bit of space is wasted. Mm-hmm. We thought it'd be interesting to make Tom sort of a different approach where when you see the storage unit, it's just there's stuff everywhere, stuff that they've collected, stuff that he can't let go of, stuff that he has in there just to make it feel more like home and less like a place that can move at any time.
See, I could relate with that with the mess that you're talking about, only because we've been doing this what's called the Swedish death cleaning, where you throw everything away. Well, I'm at that point of that where I can't let the stuff go that still has sentimental value to me, and I could really relate with Tom in that situation.
Yeah, you know, I come at that from a pretty personal point of view. I've got broken light bulbs that I have not thrown
right?
away. Because you just, it's that thing where I close my eyes and I imagine it being sort of consumed in a large pile of trash, in the middle of the ocean, and I sort of start to cry, and then I don't throw it away.
Now, to work with your father on a film like this, because of his experiences, do you collaborate, or is it one of those where you go, okay, I'm in charge, we're going to work together, today you are going to be the actor, I'm going to be in charge of this, of making a movie?
Man, we collaborate. I think that would have been a really bad thing for me to have done.
That said, yeah. Collaborate, and we did everything together, but Henry, there has to be one captain in the end, and with this one in particular, because we direct music videos together, and we come at that very much as equals, and who knows what the future will bring in terms of when we collaborate, but particularly on this one, it was Henry's story, and I've been doing this a long time, and one of the most gratifying aspects of it was that there were aspects of Tom, my character, that Henry came up with, not just in the writing, but just simple choices like him wearing glasses was not something I imagined. And Henry said, "No, this is right, Dad." And I put them on, and he was right. And in terms of some aspects of my wardrobe, it went both ways because he guided the performance.
And in many, and when Dad and I mean, what was exceptional is Dad and I have been working on this character since the first draft of the script.
Wow.
And it's a character that he and I both got to know really, 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 really well. So at every step, we were just on the same page with this guy. I mean, there's a lot of really interesting details in the makeup, and how he carries himself. That's all Dad, and to have that in not only to have that not only in the star of your film, but also in the producer, is just absolutely incredible.
When you're that close to creating a storyline like that, do you act out the parts as you're building it? Because I'm really guilty of that. When I'm putting a book together, I sit there and I go into character and I act it out in the real world, and then I'll take it to the page. Interesting.
So wait, how does that work?
Well, what you do is the people that you're with, you set up the scene, and then and what I'll do is I'll go, but I need you to be authentic. I need you to give me your real natural reaction to what you would do if this situation. So it's basically improv, and then you sit there and you record it, and then from that recording I go back and then I'll build on it.
So you're writing really, that's really interesting. So your writing really depends on these sort of momentary reactions. And do you ever, while you're doing that and something's not working, are you adjusting your folks in the moment? Do you try multiple things out?
Through pitch, volume, and tone. Absolutely. I'll sit there. If I don't feel like they're giving me the answer that I want as a creator, what I'll do is I'll change my inflection and then to see if I can get them to go in a different direction.
Huh. Interesting.
I have to say that as an actor, I do the opposite approach these days, and it's a process of delay. So Henry and I have a new movie we want to make that we've written together.
Yeah.
From Henry's idea. And so it's Henry's story, and then we wrote the screenplay together. And the more time and care I take in terms of figuring out the tone and sound and deepest motivations, sorry to be pretentious, but it's true, of the character, the deeper and truer that character is going to be. I've learned after over 30 years of doing this that when I leap to results, the character is going to be more skin deep rather than soul deep or spirit deep. And so it's really actually a process of taking the time to allow a character to be completely inside of me. And that's what was great about working on this movie with Henry, is that we were both very patient about letting the character of Tom develop. Would you agree with that, Hank?
Absolutely.
You bring up a very interesting point when you talk about the patience for an indie film. I mean, I always hear these stories of we got to get in there, get the shots, take a few, the least amount of time to do it. But I love the fact that you use that word patient.
Yeah, well, by being patient and prepared, then when you have 17 days to shoot a movie, the constraints are less onerous because you know so much going in that when something rings false, particularly in my performance, Henry was there in the monitor and he would say, Dad, not sure about that. Let's stage it a different way, or all sorts of different permutations of that.
Man. Yeah. With so many independent movie theaters starting to open up around the country, is it easy to get into them, or is it still the political game?
It's more difficult than ever to get screens because there's just the margins are very, very slim, and there's so much competition from other movies.
Right.
So we're going up against Dune 2 in New York this weekend.
Oh my God.
And I'm going to Dune 2.
So a theater has to believe that folks are going to come see your movie. But then at the same time, streaming platforms they democratize the process, because this movie eventually will be streamed by anyone who wants to watch it, and it'll be available to far more people. But of course, I think Henry will be the first to say he didn't write and direct this to be shown. He wrote it for a movie theater.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow. You guys have got to come back to this show anytime in the future. I love where your heart is. And once again, like I said in the very beginning, I'm so glad that you are making movies. And you just wrapped it up by saying that he wants it in movie theaters. That's exactly what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Henry grew up with him and me going to the art house cinema every week, sometimes several times a week.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you guys be brilliant today, okay?
We'll do what we can.
Do our best. We love your picture.
Yeah, we really do.